I know we've only known each other for 4 weeks and 3 days, but to me, it seems like 9 weeks and 5 days.
All right, all my passionate plant people and garden enthusiasts. Welcome to the Sunday edition of the Let's Get Growing show here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm Enoch. I'm your host today. We've got a great show ahead for you today. We've got our good friend Tony O'Neill from Simplified Gardening joining with us today. We're going to be talking about something new he's got coming up here for everybody. We're going to be talking about GrowTrack. Yeah, stay tuned to find out all about this here coming up. Tony O'Neill here coming up here in just a few minutes here on the show. So definitely stay tuned for that. And as well, everybody, if you can, let's jump in and let me know you're here. Let me know where you're growing from, what's growing on, because we've got our roll call coming up here in just a few minutes. I want to make sure that y'all jump in and get in on that there, as well as while you're at it too, let's go ahead and click that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, as well as the bell notification, be notified of all of our upcoming live streams, and share with all your friends. Let them know about the Let's Get Growing show here on the weekends. Yes, in fact, it's your 3-day gardening weekend here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And also, we are back at it for, again, the third day, finishing up your 3-day weekend on Monday evenings at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for the Green Room with Natalie from the Fresh Princess and I, and our featured guests that we have with us every week. Stay tuned a little bit later. I'll let you know who we got coming up tomorrow night on the show. We've got a fun show ahead for you as well there too as well. So right on, and big huge shout out to all of you who are watching on your time. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on the replay. And again, like everybody who's jumping in right now, as I know you all are doing for our roll call, jump into our comment section and let us know you were here. Let us know what you got growing on and where you're growing from, all of that as well too. I love hearing from you, even if you just want to drop by and say hello. Definitely join in the conversation, though. If you are here with us live, we definitely love to see you all here joining in on the conversation with everybody as well. So definitely, like I said, jump in, join the conversation, especially if you got questions coming up. I'm sure everybody's going to have lots of questions for our good friend Tony later here as he talks about his new project, GrowTrack. So definitely drop in all of those questions and comments. We just might feature them on the show. We've got links for you down below. We'll talk a little bit more about those two as well coming up here in just a little bit. So right on, everybody. Thank you again for being here with us today. Lots and lots growing on here. And I had the day off. If everybody kind of saw the show yesterday, in fact, yes, I had the day off. And yesterday we had our good friend Jay Dixon. Yep. It was a Let's Get Growing Jay takeover, J-Bot takeover for our show. And she had Katrina from Sow and Terror on with her yesterday. And it was a really great show. I however, wasn't around. Like, I took the day off myself, but it was a great show nonetheless. You guys all should go back and check that out. But thanks to Jay as well too for being available to take over on days when I'm not able to make it, instead of doing what we used to do. And we just had to leave the chat open for everybody, which was still cool that everybody came here, even just to hang out and talk in the chat and everything like you guys used to do. But now we got Jay here to take over and be able to hang out with all of you as well too on the days that I can't make it for the show. So it was really great. It's been some great weather around here. In fact, I had other things I had to go do, and as far as that goes, so I still didn't get get to do much in the garden space that I need to. I've been working a lot this last week. I got plans for this next week to hopefully get pretty much hopefully caught up on the main garden spaces that I'm going to be growing in this year, and hopefully get some tasks that need to get done, and take advantage of all of this really great weather that we've been having here in Southern Oregon. And so definitely got to take advantage of it, because it's probably going to be like any other, or last year in fact, but a few other years recently as well too, where it's like, it seems like we're just starting to get into spring, and spring weather's starting to kick in, and then all of a sudden a switch hits and it's like summertime already. So I got to try to get ahead of that switch, because I'm sure the way things have been going so far, we've been getting record temperatures and all of that this last month. And so it's already warming up so far. So let's start anticipating probably another early summer around here. So I definitely want to I'm already like trying to get ahead on my tomatoes and all of that. Hopefully they'll be popping up and ready to go, along with my peppers that I've got going indoors, so that I can have those ready to kind of sneak out here real soon in the next few weeks, because I want to try to get as ahead of everything as possible and get these plants in the ground right away. And yeah, even though it would be a bit early for me here in my area too. I mean, we're not really anticipating our last frost, at least as far as what our official last frost date is, until mid-May. And so, but just the way things have warmed up, the way they've warmed up the last year, I'll go out and protect some things if we get some bits of frost or threats of frost that might come through over the next few weeks. But I want to try to get ahead of what I believe will happen, because by the time we get to early May, mid-May, it's probably going to be like summertime weather already. So, but there's always that risk, and that's the thing you got to think about, if you're trying to jump ahead of things, is that sort of risk that can happen with frosts popping up. Who knows? It could even snow just out of nowhere, late into the season. And so we got to get out there if I'm going to get those plants, those more summertime plants out, like my tomatoes, mainly tomatoes. I'll hold off on the peppers and some of the other things until it does warm up, or I'm assured that we're going to make it through to our last frost date, and then we can be good with that. But the tomatoes, they cause a problem for me every year if I get them out too late. So I got to get them out real soon and take advantage of all this warm weather. Hopefully you're all taking advantage of all the warm weather in your gardens, and getting to all of those pertinent gardening tasks that you've got to get done in your garden. But let's go ahead and jump in. I see everybody's already getting in here, so let's go ahead and jump in. As I said, everyone, if you can get into our chat right now and let us know where you're growing from, what you got growing on. Maybe you're starting some new things in your garden this year, and all of that. But go ahead and jump in real quick here, because it's time for roll call.
My name is Kevin. Yeah. That is my name. Yeah. They call me Kevin. Yeah. Because that's my name. Roll call.
All right. Now it's time to see who we've got in the chat with us today. If you had, like I said, if you haven't yet jumped in yet, go ahead and do that now. Let us know where you're growing from, what you got growing on in your garden. We love to hear from you here on our roll call. And at the top of roll call, we definitely got to say another thank you to Jay, the J-Bot, joining us from Huron County, Midwestern Ontario, in the lee of Lake Huron, up there in Canada. And also here on the Let's Get Growing show yesterday, as well as facilitating our chat. Thank you, Jay, for all of your help. Everybody keep an eye out, too, in the chat for links and other further discussions on the things that we're talking about here today. We also got joining with us our good friend David, Bowtie David. He says, Triple G, greetings, global gardeners from Emerald Coast of the Florida Panhandle, in the heart of, get all of this, Old Destin, where our high is only 65 only 65 today. That's probably what our high will be here as well. But when it gets like that high and that nice and sunny out, um, in this time of year, it really does seem a lot warmer and a lot nicer than it really is. At only 65. I say only 65. I'm sure there's a lot of folks who really wish they had at least that themselves. We've got EE2201 with us here today. Thank you so much for being here. Good afternoon to you. And let's see here. This does a really good job trying to learn all I can from my own upcoming studio. Oh, okay, excellent. Yes, I hope your studio does turn out well. I can't wait to see it. Let's see here. Oh, thank you. My new favorite show. Well, we love it when you say that's our new favorite show. Thank you so much. It makes it all worth it, what we do around here, to see you all enjoying what we do. So we've got also another contributor to this show as well. Robin Gardens joining us from Zone 5B, sunny Chicagoland, and potting up seedlings while listening. Hope to be done by the time Tony arrives with his announcement. Yeah. Excellent. It's great to have you here, Robin. Thanks for being here with us today, as well as Kevin. Hello, Kevin. How are you doing? Great to have you here with us. We've got the Wickershire Project. Get them early prolifics in. Beat the bugs. Hello, chat. Yes, that's right. Get the early ones in. Dr. Right? Is that right? Leah? Oh my gosh. My eyes are deceiving me right now. But let's just say doctor. How we doing? Thank you so much for being here with us today. I see Janet. We've got Janet here with us as well, too. Great to have you here. Great to have you with us. And everybody, I see Will in the chat here as well, too. Happy Sunday, everybody. It's looking like a nice day here in Indianapolis. Excellent. Great to have you here joining us from Indianapolis on a nice day. So it sounds like people are getting somewhat nice days here, pretty much from everywhere so far. Let's see here. Video, image, fantastic. Sound quality, top notch. Well, that's awesome to hear. Good thing we're coming through just right. Let's see here. David says, I'm frantically pulling blooms off my tomato and pepper seedlings. Got beds cleared and prepped yesterday. So going in real soon. Excellent. Yeah, where you're at, I bet you they're ready to go for sure. Definitely. Let's see here. What else do we got? Wickershire, Tennessee. It's growing most common herbs: pumpkin, squash, cukes, peas, beans, corn, sunflower. Listen to all this good stuff. Coffee and sugar cane, sweet and hot peppers, lots of tomatoes, and much more. Too much more to list. That's quite a list already. That's awesome. All of that, just amazing stuff. Right on. We got Farmer Marshall with us. Hey, folks. Georgia 8A, planting more seeds. Also planting new fruit trees. Awesome. Yeah, get those fruit trees in if you got the space. Grow them for sure. Get those in for definitely awesome. And we got Lookton Nature Homestead with us as well, too. Says, I think we're finally in the clear for nights below 40 here in the bogs of southeast Pennsylvania, in 7B, 7A. However, I trust Mother Nature like a Texan. That's right. Fox in the coop. That's right. Exactly. You never know. It'll throw some things at you just when you think you're in the clear. It's always a risk if you're trying to go up against Mother Nature. That's for sure. We got Joe from Muddy Puddles Farm joining us from Cornwall, UK. Thank you. Thank you. And as well, too, Sean the gardener here with us, growing dahlias, carrots, onions, parsnips. Some awesome stuff you all have growing out in your gardens. It's great to have you all here with us. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. We've got In the Garden with our good friend. As you can tell, it's a replay, but you'll enjoy it as much. as any other in the gardens from Mark. But here you go.
Hey guys, Mark Boucher Colbert here, NBC, and you're in the garden with NBC. I'm at the school where I teach, Franciscan Montessori Earth School in Portland, Oregon, and I've laid out a couple of points to help us think through this issue between direct seeding and transplanting. When do we direct? What kind of crops do we direct seed? What do we transplant? Is there anything in the middle? Can we make choices either way? Let's dive into it. Let's talk about this and let's look at some of the pros and the cons of direct seeding. Same thing with transplanting. That may help us clarify things a little bit. First of all, when you want uninterrupted or unhindered root growth, such as with crops like this, carrots or beets, it's pretty much always a direct seed. You're going to be sprinkling the seeds directly into the soil, and then you, of course, need to make sure the soil is moist. You're going to want to try to do it at a good time of the year when you don't have to pour on tons of water. But basically, you're going to let nature take its course at that point. The seeds are going to germinate, they're going to sprout, and then you will care for them at that point, and they will have unlimited access to the soil below. There's going to be no impeding their growth by any kind of artificial barrier that you might find, say, in a pot or a container. So that's uninhibited root growth, especially with root crops. It's almost always going to be a direct seed for me. Also, you don't need to provide a protected area, artificial lights. You don't have to be the caretaker quite as much. I've known lots of people, myself included, that have fried their plants when they've got transplants in a little cold frame, and they, in Portland, for example, we have a lot of days that start gray and get sunny later on. So you leave the house, you think, oh, it's gray and cold, I better keep the lid on my cold frame down. And then halfway during the day, the bright sun comes blazing out, and then you got a real problem if you don't have something automatically to open it or somebody you can call at your house to open it. You could have months of work that just gets fried in 2 hours. It's very depressing. So with direct seed, you're not worried about that. The plant is adapting itself to the environment. It's adapting itself to the ultraviolet rays in the sun. Again, you're not going to get sunburn. You're not going to fry tender transplants if you bring them out and forget to accustom them to the cold, to the UV levels, all that kind of stuff. We've all had transplant disasters, and we know that carrots, for example, and beets never really suffer from that because they pop up, they get the sun as their source, they're just adjusted to it. Whatever the temperature is, it was obviously inadequate for them to germinate. So that's really two of the big pros. The cons of direct seeding, or at least the main one, is that these guys are going to be susceptible and subject to all the diseases, pests, and weeds that threaten plants out in the field. And that can be considerable, especially when you're thinking about something like carrots, for example. Carrots are very small seeded. They're very wispy when they come up. Something like leeks or onions would fall into this category as well. Very small, slow growing, just easily outcompeted by all the kinds of weeds that are waiting and lurking in the soil. So that's always something that's got to be contended with. There's going to be a lot of pressure. There's going to be a lot of weed pressure in particular, but there may be diseases in the soil if you plant at an unfavorable time, like if you plant your peas too early, directly seeding them outside. The cool soils might favor certain rotting. The fungi may attack them. And so you just have to contend with all that stuff, all the nasties that are out there that we have to fight with as gardeners. They're all there. A groundhog may be beating you to whatever's coming up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These are the problems of field crops, and especially when they're germinating in the field, they're at their most tender, they're most precarious, and you have to somehow solve those problems to let them grow well. So that's some of the positives and the negatives around direct seeding. Now let's move to the transplant side. See how the sophisticated camera technique there I have? It's on a rotating, it's actually on 2 plastic drums. Anyway, transplanting. By transplanting, I mean you're going to be putting a plant in some kind of a volume of soil, and that is going to grow indoors or in some protected environment, not in its final growing spot, right? There's going to be an initial growing spot, and then it's going to be moved, given the prefix trans, signifying some kind of movement, transplanting from one place to another. So it's meaning it growing in one place, like this is a soil ball, more on that later, growing some kale, and it's growing indoors right now. It's actually in a greenhouse, but will eventually be moved to the field. What do we get with transplanting? Well, it allows for a longer season. If you start things indoors, you have a nice warm environment, and many crops need that extra growing time. So for example, I am always going to be doing my tomatoes and eggplant indoors as transplants. Could you plant, for example, tomato seeds outside, and could they germinate and would they grow? Yes, you could. But will you get ripe tomatoes? Will the plant have a long enough season to produce all its stem and leaf parts and then still produce flowers and fruit and seed? Probably not. Maybe a few of those tiny currant and cherry tomatoes you can get a harvest on if you direct seed tomatoes. But for the big beefsteaks, nothing doing. You're going to have green tomatoes. That's it, even if you get green tomatoes. So these guys, because they're from warmer areas originally, they need a longer season. And we want to make sure they get a good fruit set before, again, like the season ends with cold temperatures. So since we're bookended, especially in our climate here in Portland, bookended by cold temperatures on either side of the season, we need to try to lengthen it early on by transplanting and starting our peppers, our eggplants, our tomatoes in pots, indoors, and then eventually moving them out when the conditions are good. So that's one advantage. We can lengthen the season by using the artificially controlled environment of our indoor space. It allows for relay plantings. Let's go back to this kale. Let's say I'm nearing the end of the season. It's August 1st, and I want to plant kale in my field, but I've got some squash, some delicata squash, for example, that are maturing still and that are not ready yet. They're actually not going to be ready until about September 15th. I still have about 6 weeks. Well, if I have a big enough volume of soil, a big enough pot, a big enough soil block, soil ball, whatever the case may be, I can start that kale indoors in a greenhouse or even inside, and provided I give it light, water, etc., what it needs, it will grow, it will attain a certain size, and on September 15th, when I'm harvesting my squash out of the field, I can then immediately plant the kale there. So it's kind of a relay, passing the relay baton, right? There's been no interruption in the growing in that bed. I've been able to see one crop fully to the end of its cycle and then immediately have another crop to go in, just as productive as possible. So transplanting allows for that kind of planning and that kind of relay planting, which is really amazing. Disadvantages, you need to create an area to house the plants. You need the apparatus to provide everything that they need. The light, the water, the temperature, all that. It may cost money. Trying to heat a greenhouse, it's going to cost you some money. Growing plants indoors, you might have to invest in a grow light because your normal lights aren't going to be bright enough, and you might not have enough light coming in from the windowsill in January or February to have good growth. So you're going to have to invest some money. You're going to have to take care of things. Going away for the weekend, you better have a plan for watering, etc., etc. You're in charge. Whereas plants that are direct seeded out in the field or in the raised bed can kind of go after their own nutrients, go after their own water, etc. They can fend for themselves a little bit more. What about the in-between? So I've told you certain things that are definite. So I'm always going to direct seed carrots and beets and root crops and radishes. I'm always going to transplant warm season crops like squash. Squash is in the middle. Like peppers, eggplant, tomato, there we go. Those warm season ones. But what about things like a lettuce or a squash, for example? I may make some decisions and do one or the other. For example, the early part of the season, the soil is cool. Lettuce seeds are small. They're susceptible to fungi. They're susceptible to all the kind of stuff that's in the soil. I may want to give them a good start indoors where soil temps are warm. Like I'm in a room that's 72 degrees right now. If I leave a bunch of soil in this room, it's going to be at 72 degrees. It's going to take a long time for the soil outside to go to 72 degrees. I'm going to get those kind of temperatures like in late July. So what a way to start. I can get this lettuce growing and it's going to think it's late July by starting in here. It's going to be a big, strong plant by the time I put it out, and it will be able to resist. First of all, it's gotten through the initial phase of sprouting and resisting any fungi and bacteria in the soil that could get it at that point. But it's going to be able to resist other things like slugs, for example, that could mow down a smaller plant in moments. And I'm going to have a better chance of noticing slug damage, taking action against it, and saving that lettuce crop. So early on in the season, I'm always going to be transplanting lettuce. I'm not really going to be direct seeding it. But later in the season, when it's warmer and the soil temperature is warmer, I might choose to water a bed really well and plant some direct seeded lettuce, knowing it's going to be up in 2 or 3 days, knowing that slugs aren't that much of a problem, knowing that the growth is going to be very vigorous and it's heading into the cool season where it will mature in the conditions that it likes. So I may be going toward direct seeding lettuce later on in the season. Same thing with something like, let's say beans, and squash could fit in here as well. I'm going to probably transplant my first set of beans, like put them in pots inside and get an early start on this warm season crop. But then after that, it's got a short enough growth period, unlike a tomato or pepper or an eggplant, that I can just direct seed it and get good production after that. So I'm probably just going to choose again, like the beginning of the season for this. I may even want to tuck one in at the end of the season as transplants as well. Like again, I may have something that's just finishing up, maybe some sweet corn, for example, that's just finishing up. And if I had some beans in pots, I could just pop them in right as I'm pulling the sweet corn out. Again, have that kind of seamless transition from one crop to the next. Anyway, like everything in life, there's some things that are clear and some things that are in the muddy middle. And I hope you can see that deciding whether to direct seed or transplant is kind of one of those things. On the side of direct seeding, we have uninhibited root growth, right? Uninhibited growth of the plant. No limits, no pot, no container. It's never going to run out of soil, et cetera, et cetera. It's got the whole volume of raised bed or field, whatever you're planting in. So good, it can do its thing. Second, you don't have to take so much care of it. The forces of nature are doing the job. The sun's providing the light, the rain's providing the water, the nutrients in the soil are there. You're good. You don't have to be doing all the kind of caretaking. On the negative side, you got all the diseases to worry about. You got all the pests to worry about. You got all the weed competition to worry about. That's a lot to worry about. You may not want all that to worry about, or you may have to come up with some real strategies to deal with that if you don't have a choice, like with carrots. You got to come up with strategies for the weeds. How about transplants? Definitely a yes when we need a long season crop. Definitely a yes if we want to relay and get more out of our garden beds and with strategic plantings. And then we become the caretakers for that time when the plant is in some kind of container. It does have the potential limit of the container or the volume of soil. And that's just something you have to kind of deal with, whether it's something like this, whether it's a little plastic, or whether it's something like this seed ball here. There's only a certain amount of soil here, and sooner or later the plant's going to run out of it. And if you miss your window, it's going to suffer a little bit. So you become a little more parental in that sense. You have to take care of things, but you get the advantages of that early, that longer season, that relay planting. So in a lot of cases, it's up to you. I encourage a spirit of experimentation. I encourage you to try new things. I encourage you to break the rules every once in a while. So if you want to try transplanting carrots, go ahead, see how they do. My experience has been that it doesn't do very well. Conversely, though, I have had successful transplant of beets. So there you go. It's not always hard and fast. Still, it's much better. You get much better growth when you direct seed those guys. You got much better. Don't go planting your tomatoes direct seed. Just put them in pots. Trust me on that one. But in the middle, in that muddy middle, try some things. Try some beans in pots. Try some lettuce direct seed. See what you get. Mix it up a little bit. Learn something. Have fun while you're doing it. And I hope this helped you get a little bit more of a sense of when we're direct seeding stuff, when we're transplanting. I'll see you next time in the garden with NBC.
Ivory Organic was founded on the gardening concept of whitewashing, simply lightening your plants to better tolerate weather extremes, transplant shock, and so much more. Such a valuable gardening practice that farmers have been doing it since BC times. However, in recent years, most research has been caring for plants and trees using latex and tar-based products which are designed to last 100 years but fall off your plants within 1 to 2 years as your plants grow, contaminating your garden soil indefinitely. Available in colors white or more natural looking colors such as brown, green, gray, and grayish. Ivory Organic has 2 general categories of whitewash products. The 3-in-1 Plant Guard, which includes 7 natural oils including castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint, which offer insect and rodent repellent protection, and the whitewash oil-free formula. Both products also have diatomaceous earth in the base ingredients, which naturally offer some insect repellent protection too. As always, keep growing with Ivory Organics and wishing you all happy gardening.
All right, everybody. Here we are back at it. And yeah, that was quite a great lesson there from Mark Boucher Colbert, Mr. NBC there in the garden. Thanks to Mark for doing that. And like I said, it was a replay, but anyways, thanks to him anyways. And go check out a link down below. Go follow Mark over on his page and learn lots more. He's such a smart gardener. I always learn something from him. And also, too, again, as I mentioned before, or a little bit earlier, if you didn't get a chance to go check out yesterday's show, we had Jay take over the show yesterday. I wasn't here, and she did a great job hosting the show and hanging out with Katrina from Sow and Tear. They had a really great conversation. If you didn't get a chance, go back and check out that show from yesterday. But if you didn't get a chance, also check out last week's show as well, too. We had last Saturday on the show Grant Meekhorst from the Gardening Grant on the show. He was on with us along with Bowtie Life. David, our friend from Bowtie, joined us from the Farmhouse Fair as well, too. It's kind of fun to have those kind of on location. The internet a little wonky, but you know what? It's still fun anyways to get a chance to check out some of these cool, fun local events and everything. And as well, too, if you didn't get a chance to check out last Sunday's edition of the show, we had our good friend Christopher Bransdahl on with us talking all about his indoor garden. We were supposed to have Christopher and Kang together, so I was trying to get to do our first weekend of spring hangout, but Kang had to skip out there. So it was a great conversation still. Always great fun to hang out and talk with our good friend Christopher, growing out of the mountains of Norway, you know, and he just grows some of these just really amazing things in these grow rooms and his greenhouses and his outdoor garden we talked about as well, too. And again, we're here on Monday evenings for the green room now, too. We have a great green room this last Monday. If you didn't get a chance to go check this one out, you definitely want to go check out this conversation with Craig LaHoulier, the author of Epic Tomatoes, joined us along with our good friend Mr. NBC as well, too, for a really fun kind of a garden panel conversation with our good friend and co-host Natalie from the Fresh Princess. And stay tuned just a little bit here on the show, and I'll let you know who we've got coming up for tomorrow night on the Green Room and upcoming shows as well, too. But it's time to get moving on here today. We've got a great guest with us here today, and we got some really cool stuff to talk about as well, too. So let's welcome our...
You never know when you might learn something, and that's what this is about for me. These are people that I admire. Please welcome my next guest.
All right. That's right. Let's welcome our next guest, Tony O'Neill from Simplify Gardening, joining with us here on the show today. Great to have you with us, Tony.
You're welcome. How are you doing?
Good. It looks like you're like nice and relaxed in the living room there.
Well, I'm The internet isn't working down in the office at the moment, so I'm here, sat on a nice, comfy sofa.
There you go. Perfect spot. Anyways, for sure. So, how things been growing on since we saw you last here?
Mm. Busy, mate, very busy. Um,
Yeah.
we're having some atrocious weather at the moment, so it just allows me to
Uh,
play inside. But you know what it's like is, weather stops play in one aspect, but allows you
yeah.
time to do other things.
Exactly. I know, as I was talking about a little bit here, we've been having some really great weather around here, but it's still, when you got good weather, you got all sorts of other things going on. You got to fit
Yeah,
in what you can to get what you need to get done.
yeah.
But when the weather's a little on the other side, rainy and wet, not so appealing outside, you get a lot of things you can get done indoors, right?
Oh, I think you'd struggle in Wales.
I'm originally from Seattle, so
Right.
I'm really used to that type of weather. That's why I kind of actually like living down here in Southern Oregon where I live, is it's a lot less of that type of gray and rainy, wet
Yeah,
weather all the time. But
yeah.
we
Be
had
nice to have
there
a
was
bit of sun.
yeah. It's nice to have some sun, but then again, too, you got to deal with those challenges as well. Everything
Yeah,
presents its own unique
of course.
challenges when you're dealing with it. But yeah, it's it is that time of year though too, where the weather is just up and down no matter what day it is, right?
Oh, it certainly is, mate. Yeah.
Right on, right on. Excellent. So what you got or have you been able to get some things growing and going in the garden? You get your uh
Yeah, we
plan for the
I've
year set up, all that sort of stuff?
I've got things in the polytunnels growing, and got some tomato seeds coming through, and
Yeah.
just the usual stuff. I think, to be honest with you, most sowing is going to be in earnest this month coming over April. Um, we have a few days of dry, warm weather, and everybody goes
Mhm.
nuts and starts planting things out. And it's the same every year. And I see them planting things out, and I'm thinking, oh,
Yeah.
we're getting that false spring, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we're not quite there yet. Like yourself,
Yeah.
our last frost date is 14th of May.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, about the
I
same
mean,
here,
we are
exactly.
6, 7 weeks away yet,
Yeah.
so there's plenty of time, but people, they just lose their crap, and they
Yeah.
just, sow everything as soon as March hits, and then they're wondering what they're going to do with it all. So,
Yep,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, my big one is really trying to, again, I'm trying to keep track of soil temperatures, it's warming up and that sort of thing, but as soon as I can get those tomatoes out, I'm, like, trying to get them as much of a head start as possible, so it's like my one crop of all things that I'm just kind of very particular about, like, I gotta be on it, I gotta make sure I'm going with those, everything else, like you said, there's weeks until we're really
yeah.
assured of anything, and at that point, I'll start doing some of those more warmer weather crop type of things and
Yeah,
stuff.
and the
But
soil temperature is
I
key.
just,
Everybody worries about the temperatures of their polytunnels and their greenhouses, but
yeah,
that's just air temperature. And that's funny enough, I was talking to somebody about it
mm,
yesterday. It's what the soil is doing, the root zone. That's what
yeah,
most
yeah.
plants worry about, and that seems to get forgotten about by a lot of people.
Yeah, that's right. It really is the key, and I get this over and over from a good friend, uh, Gardner Scott, who
Mhm.
he's always soil temperature. We're always thinking a lot. The big one for
Oh,
gardeners
Scott knows
as
his
you're learning
stuff.
is zones and thinking about knowing what your zones are and all of that. But then that really only tells us about what our most extreme cold will be, and then we've got our last frost dates, which were great measurements of kind of like giving you an about time to give you an idea of certain things. But really, what it comes down to, we got to be thinking about the soil temperature. We don't want to be getting things out too early when it's really
That's
cold
right.
down
Well,
in
it's
that
just going to
soil,
check
and
the
the roots
plants,
are
isn't it?
just going to be like, they don't want to expand, they don't want to grow, and you're going to think your plant's stunted and not growing and
Hmm.
doing what it's supposed to, what you think it's supposed to be doing,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then it kind of just throws off the whole thing, without thinking about, I stuck it in basically in an ice box before, it may have seemed warm up here. The days seem really nice and everything. But the one that I'm really, that I get most concerned about, like I said, are tomatoes. I just so much trouble with the way the heat comes on for us here
Yeah,
in our area. So I like to try to get them as much of a head start as possible. So
that's the beauty of indoor sowing, though, isn't it?
as soon as they can get out, I got to be on top of it. They got to be ready to go. So I got to make sure my timing's just right.
Yeah, cool.
Everything else I just kind of throw to a whatever. Let's get it
Just get the
about right.
tomatoes right.
You get those tomatoes right for sure. Right on, Tony. Well, as I've been kind of teasing everybody as we're talking about this show coming up here and everything, is we got something completely new to be talking about with you today. I just
Yeah,
kind of tease it here along the lines of if folks haven't had a chance to check out our monthly gardening book club. Tony was one of our first monthly gardening book clubs. He's written a couple of really great books, but there's a lot of work that goes into putting the book together and taking the time and doing all that we've talked about, like when you were on the book club and
yeah. I
everything
mean that
before.
that last book, funny enough, Enoch.
Yeah,
Obviously, it went bestseller, but
yeah,
last May, I won an
yeah.
award for that book as well.
Oh
So,
wow.
and that's thanks to like everybody that's purchased that. And this project's been going on since the day that book was finished being written, so well over two
Wow.
years now. So yeah, it's amazing. You just tend to move from one thing straight onto another, and people have no idea of the time scales that some things can take.
Yeah, yeah, that's just uh, and again too, people who are really and I suppose that these books have kind of designed you that way now. You're a big project kind of person, and you move from one to the next because the next we've and similar to myself is having all these ideas. We got tons and tons of ideas. We want to see some of them really come to life, when it comes
Yeah.
down to it, right?
Well, you have to get them out of your head, or your head's going to burst.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way with some things as well too. And so yeah, so you spent some great time really putting together a couple of really great gardening books. I just really enjoyed the last one that we
I do.
did on the book club. So I encourage people to go check that out. Go check out those books, all that sort of stuff. But man, again, let's talk about moving from one big project to the next. You took on a massively big project with your
Yeah.
next project, right? Let's go ahead and dig in and talk about this. Tell us a little bit
Okay.
more about this
So
project you've been doing called GrowTrack.
yeah. So I think what I'll do, I'll explain where it came from first, I think, and then we can go into it. But um, one thing that I noticed through like the 18 years I've been on YouTube trying to help people grow
Hmm.
is that knowing information and getting the outcome are two different things. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can all go and get really great information off YouTube. And what I was finding was that people were copying some of the things I was doing perfectly. They weren't doing anything wrong, but they weren't getting the same outcome.
Mm.
And that got me thinking, and it made me reevaluate gardening to some extent. And that's somewhere along the lines where the books came from. But I couldn't put in the books what I was thinking in my head, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
So that's how GrowTrack was born. It was from finding out these issues where it didn't matter what was happening. You know, you can take this perfect information that someone's got with proven results here,
Yeah.
and you still get a poor thing. And take my potatoes, for example. That's one thing I'm known for all over the internet is growing the potatoes in containers. And I'm pulling 15 and 20 pound of potatoes out of a container. And then there are people then saying, well, we followed your methods exactly, but we're only getting 2 and 3 pounds. And that got me thinking about what was really going on behind the scenes. And the what sort of hit me was that it was the memory, because what was happening was people wasn't seeing all the previous stuff that was going on in the garden, in order for me to get those results over years and years and years. And that's where this GrowTrack sort of came from. I understood that garden held memory, when we put compost on it last year, what was grown in that compost, and all of that has a play out. Did we get disease? All of these things plays out to what's going to happen next season. And there was a lot of, I started looking online for things that, like apps that would, that help people grow, like planners and journals and things like that. And inherently, they have the same problem in that they're all generic, very much like the information you can get online. So I give someone information about growing potatoes, and that information is perfect for me, but it's still generic information that may not be able to be adapted. An example would be someone in Australia that has really hot temperatures, and I'm quite mild here in the UK. There's a difference in parity there. So got me thinking around the memory of gardens and things like that. I was looking at the apps and finding that everything was generic, nothing was personal. Even when it came down to something like weather, you would put in like your city or something, but you might be living in a total microclimate, these sort of things. And I then wanted to be able to design an app, and initially it was going to be a planner app, but it evolved over the last 2 years since I've been designing it. And I totally moved away from the planner app because I thought, well, the issue there is you sit at home through winter, planning your garden, drawing out boxes, dragging in these little icons, and it's still all generic. And then as soon as spring comes, that plan goes out the window because something changed that didn't match your perfect idea of the garden. So I wanted something that was dynamic, something that evolved with you every step of the way in the garden. And that's where GrowTrack was born from. And GrowTrack is designed to be like a head gardener within your that sits on your shoulder, if you like, when you're in the garden, and it can advise you and do all of these things, as well as allow you to plan and everything else. So that's essentially where it came from. Now, GrowTrack's been under development for about 2 years. And, sorry, I'm getting feedback from someone's
I think,
mic is... GrowTrack has been in development since the last book, since I finished writing the last book. So that was before it was even launched. So it's just over 2 years now. And every time I thought I was done, I'd have another idea, and I thought, oh no, that'd be really good if it could do this. And then of course, then I had to do the coding to make that work. And you know what it's like when you add one thing, it messes up about 10 other things. So, so it's taken time. Now, GrowTrack launched to 350 founding members on the 1st of March, and they've been using it every day since, and have been the stories I'm getting back from people have been fantastic. There's a pre-launch going out now on the 31st of March, and then it goes public on the 6th of April. So the app isn't even public yet. But what I thought I would do for you guys is allow you access today. Okay.
An exclusive for those of you who are watching the show here today.
Yeah. So you'll get access today. Now, this app is quite a big deal. There was nothing else like it on the market. I will talk you through it. I'll actually share my screen in a moment and show you how GrowTrack works. But there's nothing else like it on the market. Now, there may be two reasons for that. Either number one, it's not needed, or number two, no one's ever been able to think of the idea or build it. Within GrowTrack, it's in fact, I tell you what, if I share my screen, I can explain it as we go. Okay,
Yeah.
bear with me a second. Let me just
I'll put up this phrase here that Jay's put up here that we call it GrowTrack is a garden intelligence system. I
yeah.
want to maybe ask about this real quick as we get to sharing your
Mhm.
screen and get into this is that, and several folks have already been putting out, some things about gardening and AI and how this is sort of, infiltrating the gardening world and all of that. And I think maybe right up front, we talk about this as well, though, too, is that this isn't a general gardening AI type of situation or system.
No.
This is a very specific system. So like with AI, if I was to go on to Chat GPT or just even my general Google search engine, and so and I
You're
put
going to get a
in
generic answer.
yeah, and I go,
Yeah.
hey, how's this gonna work or something like that when it comes to my garden or some sort of thing that I'm looking for. It's gonna search the whole internet. It's gonna go and find all sorts of different suggestions and ideas from all sorts of the place, and it's gonna put together what it thinks is the best answer for something, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas this is a completely closed system of its own,
Yeah.
right?
So let's break
That
it down
works a
so
bit
that
differently, right?
yeah, let's break it down so that people understand how it works then, okay, before we even get into it. So essentially, GrowTrack has three systems within it, okay, as three pieces of information. Firstly, it has the databases behind the actual package or the intelligence system, okay? So
Mm-hmm.
these databases have all of the information based around growing certain plants. A lot of it is based on not just my knowledge, but standard practice and everything else, okay?
Yeah.
Then the next part of that then is a systems part, which ties in all of the tools through GrowTrack, because GrowTrack has a whole suite of tools. And the information within all of those tools is also accessed. But this is where I was talking about earlier on about all the apps being generic. GrowTrack is personal, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason it's personal is you build your application based on your garden. It has your photographs, not generic icons or anything like that. You're taking photos of your actual garden. It's taking coordinates of your actual beds. It's taking the soil conditions. It's taking the microclimates. It's taking all of your data. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
it's your beds, your gardens, your soil, your weather, and then it does that. Now, within the actual intelligence system, we have an AI which is on a closed loop system. It does have access to the outside world, but as a last resort. And it then accesses these three pillars that we talked about. The last one, which is all of your data, and then the databases that it uses as the truth, if you like, okay?
Yeah.
And this is why it's completely different. So for argument's sake now, if you was to go to the internet and ask the internet what the weather was like in your area, it's going to give you a generic answer to that weather. If you do that in GrowTrack and you've built your beds, following the schedule and put the information in, then it's going to give you the weather for that specific geolocation, i.e. that
Mm.
bed.
Yeah.
So Rowan is the AI intelligence behind this. That's the name of the AI. And
Mhm.
what Rowan does is he takes all of this information and your personal information, and he can tell you the temperature. I can go onto my phone now and I can ask Rowan, what's the temperature in Polytunnel 1? And he'll come back and tell me the temperature in Polytunnel 1, not the temperature that's generic for the area.
Mm.
So, and the reason this is important is because of microclimates. So in my
Yeah.
polytunnel, the temperature in there is going to be a few degrees warmer than the temperature on the bed that's just outside the plastic, right? Yeah. So this is important because it can predict which beds are going to get affected by frost. So if, for argument's sake, you were going to go to your garden and you knew there's possibility of a frost, you're going to try be covering all of your beds to protect everything. Whereas Rowan can state, well, this is in a microclimate. This is going to be 4 degrees warmer. You don't need to worry about this, but we can cover this bed, and this bed, and then you won't have to do that. And this is what I'm saying about personal. All the information that Rowan has access to is inputted by the user. And the reason, the more information that's put in, the better, because Rowan remembers all of this information. The problem people have with things like journaling, and journaling's great because it allows you to go and write down details that are important and that you can keep a record of. But the biggest problem with journaling is that people don't ever go back and look through those, or not consistently. And the issue you have then is that picking up patterns across multiple seasons is an issue. Give me one sec. Take it up to Mum, love. Right. Sorry about that.
No problem.
And the biggest issues, like I said, is picking patterns up throughout the seasons. Where Rowan is different with this is he is able to take years and years and years worth of data and find those patterns and then predict. And I'll give an example of this. Say this year you go and plant 30 tomatoes in a greenhouse and you log that, and later on in the season you get late blight on those tomatoes. Okay.
Yeah.
This is logged with Rowan into the GrowTrack app. And then next year, when you go to plant the same amount of tomatoes in that greenhouse, Rowan's going to stop you and say, right, Tony, have you thought about this now? Because last year you had late blight. We need to think about more airflow. We may need to think about mulching, and it will give you a load of information about how you can prevent that blight. And it might even suggest planting fewer plants, right?
Yeah.
So the predictive side of it is really good, but it's based on your information, not somebody else's. And this is why GrowTrack can give two people stood next to each other two totally different answers to the same question.
Yeah.
And that's where its strength lies. Okay. And I'm only using this as an example. I mean, GrowTrack is massive as far as an intelligence system goes, but it works across 5 main tabs. You've got a dashboard, your garden, your beds, your plantings, and the more tab. And I can take you through that. If we share the screen and I take you guys through that now. Let me just check here. Right, we're on the screen. Okay, so this is the first page. Now, GrowTrack is available on phone, it's available on any PC, you know, Mac or whatever. And I'm in the process of it going into Apple Store and Google Play as well. There's just a billing issue that we need to figure out because of the way Apple and Google bill. But once I figure that out, then they'll be available for download via there as well. But effectively, you can get it across all platforms, okay? So the first thing that you have here, I got to hide that, right?
And for anybody who's wondering too, you can find the link right down below too that we have in the description. And I'm sure Jay will share a link for live viewers as well.
So when you first sign up, you're not going to see any of this, okay? You're going to have a green box that says, let's start taking you through onboarding. And there's an onboarding process that gets you to set up your first garden, things like that, before you're even allowed into the app. Basically, what that's going to do is walk you through some of the basics. And if you're unsure of anything, on every single screen or every main screen, you will see a little icon like this, which will give you an overview of what this screen does, okay? So you can get an idea. The other thing, if you're having any problems, right down here, there is a bug or feedback or feature reporting function as well. And they're on pretty much all of the main screens. So if you get stuck anywhere, you can just click either of those buttons and it will help you. But the dashboard, what this does this isn't something that you come in and update or anything like that, okay? This is something that it tells you what to do today. So like, as you can see here, today's focus for me, this is an old one I haven't removed because this isn't a live version that I'm using. This is one I've set up to be able to talk to people, okay? But it's giving me a job to do today, which is remove the leaves from the pond. It's got an upcoming tasks. This is today's weather, and it's giving us a low of 2 degrees expected. So monitor tender plants closely. And this is just like, so basically what this page does, it brings things to your attention, okay, what you should be considering, all right?
Yeah.
The next tab down the bottom then is your gardens. Now, this is where I was saying about, these might take a little while to load because I haven't opened this for a while. But if you look at these are my garden areas. And this is where I say about every single item within GrowTrack is personal. And I give you an example. So polytunnel 1, you can see here, look, we've got the coordinates and they're very easy to add. But if I click into it, it's got all of the soil type, it's got the sun exposure, how it's being watered, where the water's coming from, the elevation and the coordinates. When you're filling out the page, there's a form that you can fill out, but you can also do a lot of it via dictation. So if I go back into gardens here and I'll show you the form, you can literally just add a garden and that brings up this form that you just fill out, right? Yeah. And if you click on use my location and you do that while you're in the garden, if I click it now, it's just going to automatically, let me just allow for that, fill out the coordinates for you. All right. So you haven't even got to know your coordinates. It automatically does it for you. And that's quite important because the weather alerts that you would get are dependent based on the microclimates for that area and based on all the information and things like that you get, okay? So that's your gardens. Now, it's important to note that in GrowTrack, a garden is an area. It's not like your overall garden. It could be just like a specific area, like a polytunnel or a greenhouse. It could be just a small group of beds. It could be a front garden, a back garden, or in this case, the well-being garden or the potato garden, the wildlife garden. These are separate areas because they have different microclimates. So if it's got a different microclimate, less sun than somewhere else, or it's shaded, so that would be its own microclimate, or whatever the case being, it deserves its own garden, okay? And that plays for later on with some of the other stuff as well. In each garden then are the growing beds. Now you can jump in these sections and you can create growing beds here and you can select the garden it's in. So if you notice here, look, this left-hand bed here is in polytunnel 1. Yeah, it's 16 containers, which are these here, and the depth of them, what's in them, and vice versa, okay? Likewise, I could go back to gardens, and if I clicked on polytunnel 1, you would come to the bottom and you would see those beds down there, look. Okay? Right? So everything works along each other. So that's how beds work. And again, you fill the same form in beds and again, all of your same pictures. Okay? So this just gives you that visual look. And again, it holds all of the information. If you notice this one here, partial shade and wind exposed. Okay. Yeah. So it's quite important that, you fill out these details. The next step is plantings. Now, this is where GrowTrack sort of comes to life. Now, this again, there's 26 pages here of plantings. A lot of these are where I've done other things. So a lot of these things are coming through, where I've been playing with them or whatever. But you can add your own plantings. You can add your own pictures. And for argument's sake, say I come into this lettuce planting here now. Okay. So these are transplanted, or they were sown on 15th of April. So again, these dates, this is just a made up one. Say we was to sow these on the 15th of April, we can then set them to be transplanted out. We'll know our first harvest. We can track that plant all the way through, and we can add photos of that plant all the way through. Okay, so what this is doing is it's giving us a complete layout of an individual plant in an individual bed in an individual garden, right? Yeah. So effectively, that's how the main part of this works. You've got gardens, and in a garden you've got beds, and in the beds you've got plantings, exactly like it would be in any garden. The last tab then is the More tab. This is where you would find Rowan. Rowan is the AI version that I was talking to you about, and that is based on the information that you're putting in, all of the databases in the back end, and the actual application itself. Okay, and Rowan, you can literally you could open the screen and you can do this. But what I want to explain about Rowan is if you're unsure what Rowan does or whatever, you can click on this and it will show you the type of things, or you can even ask Rowan what he can do to help you. All right. But Rowan has also been connected, because I think the biggest issue for a lot of people is that the last thing they want to do when they're in the garden and they've had a long day gardening is go home and sit at a computer typing all of this in, right? So you can actually get your phone, and Rowan is connected, or you can connect Rowan via WhatsApp. And you can literally have a conversation on your phone, and you can tell Rowan via voice what you want to do while you're stood in the garden. So you could say to Rowan, like if I ask Rowan now here, Rowan, what's the temperature in polytunnel 1? Right? Now I could just ask it. Now I could be in my house wanting to know what the temperature is up in polytunnel 1. And in a moment, you'll see that what Rowan's doing now is accessing everything. So it's now saying he can't tell his temperature because it's location. He hasn't got the location details. So there's an issue there, and I think I may have logged into the wrong account.
No.
So it says I've logged into the wrong account. It's fine. It's no problem. I'll tell Rowan. This account, because it's only a tester account, may not have everything. Yeah, it's now saying, hello, Tony, it's 10 degrees and clear skies in your main garden today. So basically, Rowan can tell me, Rowan, and you can basically use Rowan for lots of things. So it's just saying here, look, it's telling you, I've got 8 active plantings. I've got garlic in the main gardens ready for harvest. You know, because this is just the generic things I've put in to be able to demonstrate this, right?
Yeah.
But what Rowan will do, you can literally be in your greenhouse, you could be sowing seeds. Say you just sowed tomato, sweet aperitif. You could say via WhatsApp, Rowan, I've just sown sweet aperitif tomatoes, 15 seeds in a cell tray for bed 1 in polytunnel 1. Can you store that? And it will actually store that in all of the correct order, okay? And that's the great thing about Rowan, and he's accessing all of this information, okay? Then we go down further down the page, and we have a complete tool suite here. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on. You have planning tools, which will give you a season overview. It will give you what you should plant now. There's a calendar, there's a garden layout tool, crop rotation. Now, in the crop rotation, I'm not a believer of crop rotation, but it's there, and it does explain when to use it, okay, and what have you. It will work out your frost dates based on your location for you. All right. Then we come down further into the growth and health. Now in here, we've got like a garden health library. And if we look at this, these are some of the libraries that Rowan is using for identification. And an example is you could be in your garden and take a photo of something and ask Rowan, what is this? Or you can come in here and you can click this button here. But if you just take the photo on your phone and upload that, or take it in WhatsApp, and Rowan will actually identify that. And then it will actually give you the information that's in these. So it'll give you a description, what the signs and symptoms are, what the treatment is, organic and chemical, the prevention of it,
Oh yeah.
okay, what the life cycle is, so you can break that life cycle so it doesn't come back. And if you want to learn any more, then Rowan will give you extra information based on that. And this is for alternative leaf spot. And this is a complete database based on pest and disease, okay? It's a huge database.
Yeah.
The next thing then that we have there is the crop library. Now, the crop library is editable. So someone here, look, as this is an added artichoke in here, but there's missing a picture. But for argument's sake, if we were to go into this artichoke globe and we ask Rowan, this is where Rowan is pulling that information from, right? So we've got planting spaces, growing information, companion plants, and this is for the generic globe artichokes. But if you, as a user, you want to add specific varieties, you do that when you're in the plantings phase, and then it will store your varieties here. And it's personal to you, so no one else will see those varieties, okay? So the data you enter is not visible by anybody else, okay? Essentially, that's what the crop library is doing. Then we come down into garden management tools, and in here we have a seed inventory, and this is quite cool in that if you notice in here now, there's Shirley here with no seeds left. So I had seeds, I sowed them, and if there was 15 seeds there, or like for this one here, sweet aperitif, there's 10 seeds left. If I was to sow them now in the planting, that would remove that to a 0, okay? Yeah.
Okay.
If you notice, this packet here is expired. So it's telling me it's expired, right?
Right.
Now, when you come to add them, you can literally just come here and take a photograph of the seed packet, and it will pull all the information you require. It'll ask you for the front and the back, and then it pulls all of the information when it expires, how many seeds, and then it stores those pictures at the bottom, right? So it's a really quick way of you going through and storing. And then what the seed inventory does, it actually alerts you when you run out. And that goes off into the next section. And these systems are all linked, right? So the next section then would be like the shopping list, for argument's sake. So as you can see here, I've got a lot of stuff in the shopping list to purchase. But if I auto-generate here, this will ask for permission, so I'll give it. And now it's just pulled those Shirley tomatoes that were on 0 through to the shopping list.
Oh.
If I was to then buy them, that would automatically be put through into the budget page, which is here. So you're keeping track of everything, look, right? So, and every single thing's interlinked, right? So, and information's entered once, and it's used right throughout GrowTrack. So all of these tools are connected. They're not standalone tools, okay? So that's the great thing about it. You do something in one part, it feeds through to all of the other tools, and it updates. And Rowan has access then to everything here. Now, this is great because it allows you to control your budget, right? So 2025, look, £155. So you can see what you're actually spending based on your garden, right? Then we can look at harvests in this section and in here. So as you harvest food, you can put a weight in there or whatever. And this is good because it can calculate what your yield is against what that value would be in your local stores. And this is what the app's designed to do. For your local store, it will take the value of those goods and it will put a monetary value to it, and you will see that in the budget tracker. Okay.
Yeah.
Then the last thing then, after you've harvested then with them, would be like a storage tracker. So in here, you can see exactly what's stored. So storage summary, like we got corn on the cob, 19 kilograms, blueberries, 17 kilograms. So let's find, the blueberries here. Saying we got 17 kilograms. Let's say I use 2 kilograms of those. We take them out of the freezer and we use them. So we're now down to 15 here. But up here, if I go to used, it's going to show that we've used another 2 kilograms. So now we've used 4 kilograms.
Mhm.
So it actually shows what you use. Now, the reason this is good is because say you grew 100 pound of potatoes, and then at the end of the year, you only actually use 30 pound of potatoes. It allows you then to readjust what you're actually growing, providing more room, saving you money, because you know as a family, you don't eat 100 pound potatoes.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a really good way. But also, if I go back to in storage, if you look at these now, fresh, but it's also saying that there's some that have expired, right? So I now have some carrots in storage that expired on March 28th. I've got some potatoes that expired on March 28th. Yeah. So what this is telling me is I need to go and check those to see whether or not they're still okay or not. And I know where they're stored because it tells me it's in cold store, right? So I just need to go there, check it, and what have you. But you get a summary up here of all your crops, and you can even just look at what's frozen, what's canned, what's dried. Yeah. So you can go through and you can understand what you've got stored and where. Then once you've gone out to that, you've got your standard journal, like anything else. You've got your composting system here, so you can keep track of all your composts. You're able to, it'll tell you when it's ready, and then you can pull that out and reset the bin and everything else, right? So we've even got, I can't do something without compost being in there.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have a task and alerts section. Okay, so for argument's sake, now we saw in the beginning of the dashboard there was a task there to empty the leaves out of the pond. That's being created based on information that's been added throughout GrowTrack. Okay, you can set up any task personally, or you can turn around to Rowan and literally say to Rowan in WhatsApp, say, Rowan, I've just sown runner beans today. Can you remind me to water them the day after tomorrow? And that will set the task up, and that task will be pushed to dashboard. You'll get a notification via WhatsApp, or if you log into the app in order to be able to verify. And then also in the morning, you could turn around to Rowan and say, Rowan, what's my tasks for today? So you've already got a task list for when you go to the garden. It's a fantastic way. The system also has approximately 3,800 specific jobs in the garden, like jobs to do in the garden. And Rowan uses that jobs to do in the garden based on your information, and it can predict things that you should be doing for that day as well. So if you haven't planned anything, he might say, well, we're coming up to planting now in the greenhouse, maybe it's February or something. And he may say, Tony, a job you could be doing today is cleaning the greenhouse, glass, so that it lets in the most light for when the seedlings are starting to go. It will predict those sort of things as well. And then we have down here, a lot of people won't have a lot of these. These are just, this is just because it's an admin account. But down here, you will have like a settings thing. You will set most of these as you go through the onboarding process, but it will be like your language, the appearance, because there's a dark and a light theme. Okay. The you'll set up your units, your currency. So whether you want, if you're in the US, obviously you're going to be in like feet and inches or dollars, those sort of things. So effectively, it's all completely self for yourself. Okay. If you want to sign out, this is where it comes. You can log out here, and you can even delete the account down here yourself. Now, if you delete the account, all of your information, okay, is completely deleted from the database. We don't keep anything. So if you do that, just know that it can't be pulled back. However, if we was to go into beds and, for argument's sake, delete a bed from in here, we can recover that. Okay, so within this setting down here, we have a recycle bin. And in the recycle bin are things that you've already deleted. Look, so you got bed 1, bed 3, bed 2, or whatever it is. Yeah. And these are gardens that have been deleted. So, and these are plantings that have been deleted. So if you've deleted something by accident, don't stress. It's probably in the recycle bin. It's only soft deleted. Until you actually delete your account, all your information is safe. Now, I think it's important as well to talk about information, because we're talking a lot of personal information because that's how the tool works. It's personal to you, right?
Yep.
So I use AWS S3 backups. So that's Amazon backups. It's stored on a major secure system. It's what most of the banks use and everything else, right? So it's really secure. And also it means that if anything should happen to your account, as long as you haven't deleted it, because once you click that delete button to delete the account, it deletes it out of that as well, okay? But as long as you haven't deleted it, if it's just like it's just crashed or something like that, we're able to recover all of your information, right? So you're not losing that history, because this is all based on your personal history. I tell you what, if we come back to the main page, to me a second. You click me back on. Okay. Yeah, take that off set. Yeah, sorry. There we go. So there's a lot going on with GrowTrack. The onboarding just gets you to the main thing, giving you an idea, and there are prompts within there that will give you tips. GrowTrack then has its own YouTube channel. There's about 23 videos on it at the moment explaining what each of the sections are. I've nearly finished filming there should be a video eventually for one for every part of GrowTrack.
Okay.
But there's like 20 odd on there at the moment. But also, when people sign up, for the first 14 days, they'll get 10 of those 14 days, they'll get a daily email just prompting them, try doing this today, try doing that today. And what this does, it gets people used to how the system works, okay?
Yeah.
And the reason I do that is because I give everybody 14 days full premium access, totally free. And then they can choose what they want to do after that, whether they want a free account or want one of the paid accounts. Okay. But I think for people to understand the system, they need time, and that 14 days will give them that time. And again, it's what we're going to do for anybody here. They can get on there, they can sign up, play with it for 14 days. And at the end, you don't even need to put a credit card detail in or anything like that. And at the end, you automatically reverted to a free account. And it's at that point you can choose if you wish to upgrade. So it's not like some of these sites. What I used to hate it when they take a credit card off you and rely on you to cancel.
Yep.
I don't do that. Okay. You're automatically pushed to a free account, and then if you want to continue with all of the with the full access and everything else, you choose the paid version if that's what you want to do. I've been as fair as I can, but obviously there's huge amounts going on in this. It takes a little while for people to understand it, but here's the key with GrowTrack. It is personal, and it will log everything from day one right the way through to the following next year and remember it. And like I said, that was the problem with journaling. You can take meticulous notes, but you'd have to wait till you go home to remember to do that. With this, you can literally just get Rowan on WhatsApp, and you can just say, Rowan, set a reminder or set a task for tomorrow to put wood chip on path 2 or whatever it is. And Rowan will actually set that reminder as a task. You know, you
Yeah.
can ask it all sorts of questions. You can, it can diagnose disease, it can diagnose what pests you've got, it can diagnose any issues you're having with your plant. So if the color of the plants is starting to look a little bit off, just take a photograph and say, Rowan, what's happening here? And Rowan will actually tell you what's going on. It will give you the solutions you need in order to fix that, and go from there. But basically, the more information that's put into Rowan, the better. And this was why I wanted to link it through WhatsApp, which was a way, you know, pretty much everybody has WhatsApp and they know how to use it, which is why I used WhatsApp rather than having a dedicated different app that you had to download type of thing. And what it means is you can be in your garden. When you do something, you literally just pick up your phone, say, Rowan, do this, 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 and this. Down. It's done. That's it. You haven't got to go home, start typing into a computer and this, that, and the other. So it's, you know, it's meant to be personal. It's meant to be something you do while you're in the garden.
Yeah. No, that's great too. And really, as you're kind of talking about it, it's really just kind of that initial setup. Once you get through this initial setup, getting your garden set, you know, what beds, all the sort of things that you're framing that garden setup is, it just seems like it's just you kind of communicating back and forth
If you learn the
with this like
questions,
personal assistant, right? It's just
the questions in the remember I pulled up the table for information to create a new bed, for argument's sake. As long as you know what those questions are going to ask you, you can actually dictate to Rowan. Rowan, set up a new bed, mark it as Tony's bed. It's got compost and soil as the medium. It's watered via rainwater from an IBC drip irrigation. Its elevation's 150 meters. I'll put the coordinates in later. Use this photo as its main picture, and you can do it all via voice, right? But and this is what I'm saying. At the moment, when you first get into it, it's going to take a little bit of time for people to get used to it. But once you get used to it, you can literally do everything via Rowan and WhatsApp. You wouldn't even need to press another key again. But it's knowing the information that you want to put in, and the more information that's entered, the better Rowan will be in predicting things later down the road. And the idea behind this is to get away from the this happened last year, but I didn't remember it, and I make the same mistake again this year and the year after, because you're not making the connections between all of the all of the memory that's going on in the garden. You're not connecting the things that are causing the problems. Do you get my drift? So that's why it's been designed for that. And I'd urge everybody to go and look at the GrowTrack YouTube channel. You're linked to that anyway when you go through the onboarding process. It's the very last part. It'll take you through to that channel for you to be able to subscribe to it, and then you'll be able to see all them videos. But also, actually, in the settings area, there is a videos page there that has all of those videos in anyway. So you haven't even got to go to YouTube. You can do it from within the app.
Yeah, there you go. Kind of want to go back over this again too. This was a comment made earlier by Nope in here. Sounds cool, but if you put in the info, what do you need this? I've tried AI apps and ask questions and mostly get bad info. Prefer to ask you guys questions. And I think that's the key right there.
Yeah,
is that
because
this isn't
generic.
general. Again, this isn't general AI. This is very specifically cured information that this Rowan personal assistant takes its information from. So in the long run, it is as if you're asking you, Tony, in a way.
Stood in your garden.
Right.
And this is the key, guys,
Yeah.
right? Like you can go to the internet or to ChatGPT and say, how do I grow tomatoes? And you're going to get back a generic answer. Well, they need 28 degrees. They need this, and this. Oh, and by the way, make sure they got airflow. Great.
Mhm.
But like we already discussed right at the beginning, I was telling people, grow potatoes like this and you'll get fantastic results, and they weren't getting the results. And that's because that you have to factor in all of the personal information that's going on there, the microclimates in the garden, the soil conditions, what was put on that soil the year before, what was grown in
Mhm.
there that may have taken the nutrients out of that soil, whether you're starting with just compost, how hot it is. There's so many factors that have to be taken on. And that's why all of the other AI that you've been using before, the generic AIs, are giving you information, and it's information that's probably not useful. Whereas once GrowTrack has the information about your specific garden, which is why I made it personal, then the information that you're given is reliant based on your garden, your
Yeah.
bed, your soil, your planting. And this is why you can follow the plantings. Anything you spot with a plant, say for argument's sake, you notice leaves are starting to turn yellow and you take a photo of it, that's being logged against that planting in that bed, in that garden forever. So next
Yeah.
year, Rowan's going to pick up on that and he never forgets that information. When you journal, you have to go back looking for that information. And
Mhm.
that's if you remember about it in the first place. Whereas you can say to Rowan, what's this? Oh, well, you had this problem last year. And
Yep.
it was caused by this, and this because of this. I suggest doing that instead. And this is where this AI is different, because it's using your information. It's not
Mhm.
using generic information off the internet. And this is why I've built it this way, and why nothing else out there will be able to compete with GrowTrack once your information is going to get in. And is why I said that two gardeners could be stood next to each other
Yeah.
and get totally different answers to the same question. And
Mhm.
that's a strength, because it's based on your information.
Yeah. So yeah, like Wickershire saying here is imagine the gain knowledge database that can build up to refine your gardening information. And that's just basically what it's doing. It's building up this knowledge that of your specific space though
Yeah.
too,
There
along
may
with
be, there
I'm
may
sorry.
be, like, for argument's sake, you're growing tomatoes and one variety just doesn't do well because of your conditions. But that's going to be
Mhm.
picked up within the app, because if you grow the same variety twice and it fails twice, and everything else is the same, for argument's sake, with all your other varieties, then that's either a poor genetic variety, or it's a variety that doesn't do well in your climate. Well, all of a sudden, you've just saved yourself, $4 or $5 or $3.50 or whatever it is on a packet of seeds. And you can then make that change and find a different variety that does do better. It's the difference between guessing and knowing. And this is
Yeah.
why GrowTrack has been the database is building, and the more information or the longer you use it, the more personal it gets to you. Okay.
Mhm.
And eventually it's going to be that the garden knows your garden better than you know it, because it never forgets like we do.
Yeah. All right, let's see here. Muddy Puddles was asking earlier too. Does GrowTrack work everywhere? I'm thinking of Australia or places with completely different plant life and seasons.
Yeah. So I've built GrowTrack in order so that it has a standard database of the vegetables and things like that. Eventually, it will go across most plant species, but I've concentrated on vegetables at the moment. I do want to cover one other thing in a moment, Enoch, but
Yes.
the the idea behind it is there's a generic, like we showed with the artichoke, there is information based on artichoke, and then you can add your varieties. But if, for argument's sake, you have a plant that isn't included in that database, you get to add it when you put the planting in, and then that will
Mhm.
be saved specifically for you only. it won't be available for everybody else to select. So you can build your database bigger. You're not tied to what's there. So if, for argument's sake, you grow guava and you want guava in your database, you literally add it in the planting. You put the information in, and then that's stored in your database. Next year, it'll be there as a selectable drop down for you. But if someone else next to you came and visited you and they opened up their GrowTrack, that wouldn't be able to be selected until they added it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
There is a phase 2 that will come. I haven't covered. I will go back into the app and show that in a moment, because there is it's not just a case of this is the app and this is how it's going to be. There is already a phase 2 that I am working on.
Yeah. Let's see here real quick too. Adam's asking, will GrowTrack be able to connect to my personal weather station? Like maybe I'm thinking he's talking about like maybe a piece of technology that he has.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll cover that when we go back into phase 2 in a moment, but it won't connect to the weather stations you currently have. But hardware is planned for phase 2 that will interlink, and we'll cover that in a moment when I go back into GrowTrack.
Okay. Did you want to get into that, or do
you want to do it now?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Just change the screen over then.
Put that back on there, right?
Okay. Are we on?
Yep.
Sorry, right. So phase 2 is the academy. Okay. And when you guys come in, you'll be able to see about all of the stuff that's going to be coming in phase 2. There'll be a suite of mini courses that for growing that'll be coming in to the academy as part of GrowTrack for learning and things like that. There'll be PDF libraries, there'll be garden templates and stuff like that you're going to be able to download. So, and effectively, what I want to do with GrowTrack is make it a one-stop shop for a lot of people with things. This is what will help as far as the weather station goes. So the other thing is, at the moment, I'm looking at having dedicated soil sensors, composting monitors, weather nodes, and Bluetooth plant and bed tags produced. And these will hard link into GrowTrack and provide live data. So you could technically then just say to Rowan, what's the temperature and moisture content of bed 2 in the polytunnel? And it will tell you. So you haven't even got to go up there and water. Or Rowan, what's the pH of this ground? And it will tell you. Yeah. So you again, the weather nodes, they're there. The weather app I want to just jump into in a moment, but effectively there'll also be like live sessions and a curated shop that will come with this. I haven't figured those out yet, how that does, but Rowan will connect through everything of this, and this is going to be phase 2 that will be added into GrowTrack. But while I got this open, if I go into the weather alerts in here, so at the moment it's telling me that it gives me a 7-day forecast based on my actual location, because we're using geocodes, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
We're using proper coordinates. So this isn't a mile down the road. This is right stood on top of my bed. So I know, like, for the next few nights, these are the temperatures that I've got. I can see a week in advance, I've got no freezing temperature at all. I haven't got to worry about it. However, on one of my beds, it is saying there's a low temperature expected of 2 degrees, but that's nowhere near this. But if you look on these daytimes, 9, 11, but if you look at the night time, which is there, look, 2 degrees.
Yeah.
So you got a day and a night temperature. All right. That is the only one I'm really gonna have to worry about. Possibly Friday, where it's 3 degrees. I may need to look at covering tender plants over, right?
Yep.
But this will throw that warning through to the dashboard. That's why this one here was on the dashboard. Yeah?
Yeah.
Here, look, it's telling me, though, there's an extra frost risk on the right-hand bed, and it's showing as high. And this is the important thing about having those geo codes or those geolocations, yeah? Because it's now telling me that one bed I really need to worry about. Yeah.
That's great.
Action needed, priority, cover with fleece or bring containers indoors. It's telling me, and that's the only one I
Yeah.
really need to worry about. Yeah. So, and this is why I'll come back to you guys now if you can swap me back.
Yeah.
This is why those coordinates are important to put into the bed, because everything that you do in GrowTrack is pushed right through the whole app. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a bunch of different tools all standing alone. They're all interlinked. They all feed information from one to another. And as you can imagine, that database for your information over time grows so large that Rowan has massive context about your garden, about how your beds are performing. It can tell you for year on year whether your bed is performing as usual, overperforming, underperforming. You can put information about soil tests that you've done in. You can put all sorts of information. Anything that you could literally come up with to think about the garden can be stored into GrowTrack. And all of this information is context that Rowan uses to advise you as you go. It's a fantastic way to be able to keep control of the garden over journaling or over planning. It has a built-in planner as well, so you're not losing those tasks. You've got a built-in journal and you've got a built-in planner. And anything you put into them, you can dictate to Rowan via WhatsApp, and Rowan will fill that out for you. You can include photos, so you have a running diary. The other thing that's in there as well is like a timeline. So you can literally go back, you can select 2026, and you can see every single thing that you've done in a timeline fashion throughout 2026. All the photos, all the choices you've made, all the decisions, any pests and things. So you can see it all there. And everything is interlinked to pull through that information.
Yeah. Like you said before, you once you enter it in, it doesn't forget. So it's got that information.
Exactly.
It's going to be able to, and then again as well too, as you emphasized, is that this isn't like writing our own garden journals, which is great. It's fun to do. I like keeping track of stuff, but you mentioned the issue, which I know myself, is like I've got a stack of garden journals from years before, and I'm not going through them, and I'm not checking out a lot of stuff, unless
seeing
maybe
patterns is
something
hard.
comes up. Like I got to go through and I got to check out and find a label I mislabeled for something, so I can maybe remember what it is, and then I'll have to go through all of that sort of stuff.
But you don't have that issue with Rowan. You can say to Rowan, I planted tomatoes. What varieties have I planted? And it will give you all the varieties. It will tell you where they're planted, when they were planted, how they're doing now. It can show you photos of them if you need it to. And then when phase 2 comes in and every plant has a tag, if you want it to, it can have a unique ID so that you can follow that. You can do it now without the tags, but you can literally follow that plant all the way from seed right the way through to harvest and to seed saving again, right?
Yeah.
And you have a documented evidence of how well that plant did. So you can see which plants perform better, which varieties perform better for you, which varieties you like or you didn't like. Right? It allows you to be able to do this. What seeds are going to be expiring, so you can then, rather than going through looking at all the packets, it's telling you, here's a list of all the seeds that are expired, get rid of them, or do a germination test. Yeah. If you do a germination test, it's still coming back 80%. Just renew the date for another year.
Yeah.
You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, exactly.
Everything that you do in GrowTrack is able to be edited. So just because you've put it in doesn't mean it's stuck there, right? Remember I said right at the beginning, GrowTrack is there to evolve with you and your garden every step of the way. Not like when you make a plan, in early January, and then by March, all of a sudden, the very first thing you do was completely different to your plan because the plan was done in the perfect environment and life's not like that.
Yeah.
Well, that plan and all that work just went out the window. If you want to plan out a new garden, we have that planning feature there. I don't think I've shown you it, but I can if you want me to show you. And you can literally draw out a whole new garden space if you want to, by putting in greenhouses, polytunnels, brassica cages, raised beds or in-ground beds, ponds. You can literally do it all, design it, and see how that space looks before you
Hmm.
go and spend the money in order to make that. So all of these tools are within GrowTrack. But the
Yeah.
beauty of it is you're storing that information. It's allowing you to make better informed decisions. It's not allowing you to forget. If you're unsure what to do, just ask Rowan, he will tell you. And
Yeah.
like I said, 350 people have been using this since March 1st, and they're absolutely loving it. GrowTrack I'm getting loads of feedback from people and photos of them using it in the garden and all sorts. And it's been fantastic so far.
Yeah, no, this is great. And again, too, in a more rising technological world, all sorts of things as we've covered really, that are out there that we could be doing. It's great to have something that is so really kind of formulated one for the individual gardener in their garden space. But again, I like to emphasize this, is that it's not general information. This isn't going and looking and
No.
searching for things everywhere to tell you what's up. It's
Anybody can
gearing
do
things
that,
to
right?
yours. Yeah, anyone can
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think I really loved about this idea is when you first mentioned it to me, is that it is really tailored for you in a sense. And all you got to do is just get over the, kind of the first initial, getting used to the technology, getting used to
Yeah, it's like anything else.
communicating with an AI assistant, that sort of thing. And once you get a hang of that sort of stuff, I can see this just being a real breeze. You just
Yeah.
go out there and you're just hanging out with your personal assistant as if they're standing there and they're just kind of like pointing, hey, did you
Exactly.
think about this over here or this over there? Or you ran into, like you're saying, you ran into this last season. Are you thinking about this here? The keep an inventory of things. It's just really like really almost everything just built into one
It's like
specific
driving,
system, which
You
is great.
when you first start driving, it's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
awkward and everything else. And then all of a sudden you just get in the car and you drive, and before you know, you're at your destination. You don't even know how you got there because
Hmm.
subconsciously you don't even think about it anymore. And that's the same thing with GrowTrack. Because I've been using it so much as I've been developing it, I can now
Yeah,
literally just go blah 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 blah, and it's all done because I understand how it works, right? And
yep,
this is why, and I'm under no illusion, right? It's a lot, and
yeah,
unfortunately, an app like this, or a system like this, an intelligent system like this, um, is never going to be just an easy one to app, because otherwise you're never going to get it to do what you want it to do, right? We
right.
want it to manage the whole garden and be very personal. Then it's going to be a bit more complicated than most things. And that's why I say there's nothing else like it out there. This is
Yeah.
why we've got quite a substantial onboarding process that takes you through it before you get to the dashboard. Then they do the email thing. And of course, then we have the little pop-ups. Then
Hmm.
if you need further help, just to give you little advice. And we have the video bank,
Yeah.
showing people that as well. And that video bank, although it will show each individual thing, eventually I'm going to start producing content showing that in action as well. So
Yeah.
people will see, oh, I can do that. I didn't know I could do that with it, because I know its capabilities because I built it.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas no one else really knows that. And sometimes it takes someone to put that little seed in the head. Oh, I didn't
Hmm.
realize it could do that. Oh, I wonder if it can do this. And
Yeah.
the best thing, what you have to understand is you can't break it, right?
Yep.
So if the only thing Rowan won't do for you is give
Yep.
you like personal advice, right? It's
Yeah.
garden related. I've put in
Right.
safeguards to prevent it talking about anything else other than garden
Yeah.
related stuff. And the other thing about people's data, I think it's important to cover as well. It's totally data compliant. Okay, all the data is backed up into AWS
Hmm.
S3. It's secure. Your data doesn't go anywhere. It's not shared with anyone. The only person that has access to that is you.
Yeah.
Okay. Even your data to me is I can see what's in like your personal details and things like that in the back end, because I need that in order to run the app, your
Yep.
account. But the data that you're inputting is encrypted, so I don't even get to see that data. Okay,
Yeah.
but the system and encrypts that for you to be able to see. So
Yeah.
the data is secure as well. The
Yeah.
GrowTrack trademarks are all in play now as well, so it's all
Here it
moving forward
is.
really
Here it
well.
is, right? I mean, here's the kind of, as we started talking about, getting involved and doing these big projects and getting them going, like writing the books. It's all that work and that process, but then there's a point where it gets released and it gets put out there. And here we are. We're just, basically a couple of days away from this getting out there to everybody. But you guys here who have joined with us here on the show, you've got special early access. We've got a link right down below. And I think another real important thing too that we covered, but really should be emphasized, is that getting started with this whole GrowTrack app and everything doesn't require your credit card up front, not like all those other types of things. You can get
You
signed
literally put your
up.
email address, you log in,
Yep.
you're in there, you got full 14 days access. If at the end of it you want to delete the account, that's completely up to you.
Yeah.
We don't ask for your credit card details or anything up front. And the reason I do that is, number one, because I want people to try it and see how it works without the worry of remembering to cancel a
Yep.
card if they don't want to continue.
Yep.
I believe in how good GrowTrack is and what
Yeah.
I've designed it to do, that I don't need to try and force people into giving me their card first
Yeah.
in order to do
Yeah.
that,
None
because
of
I
that sort
believe
of
that
stuff. This
GrowTrack will
really.
speak for itself.
Exactly. So I encourage everybody. Lots and lots of great stuff here. We'll have to have you back and hear more about this as we get to phase 2. Lots coming up again with, just so many offerings within this GrowTrack app. Again, I encourage everybody, because you've got early access, because Tony's been so kind to come and introduce that to us here first, get down below in the link there and go check this out. Go get signed up and go check out what this really great
6th
app
of April
is.
it goes public. So you're about a week away from that. So
right on. Excellent. Well, Tony, thank you so much for taking your time to come hang
more
out
than
and
welcome.
launch GrowTrack with us. And I'm really excited about this for everybody out there, the whole gardening community. We've upped our technology here with GrowTrack, and I hope you all get a chance to take advantage of that. Again, link right down below. Tony, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, guys. Cheers. Yeah. See you soon.
Mm-hmm. Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals. And our incredible featured visits. All right. Here we are back at it. And time to finish up this show today. Thank you all so much for being here. Really, really do appreciate you all being here with us today, along with Tony O'Neill from Simplify Gardening, talking all about GrowTrack, his new app for gardeners everywhere. Definitely get down below. Like I said, we got an exclusive link for you right down below, or at least it's exclusive for you today. You're getting in before everybody else does. I really, really appreciate Tony's support of our channel and our show, and coming on our show to introduce this really amazing new app to the world right here on the Let's Get Growing show. And again, everybody, we do got lots more coming up here on the Let's Get Growing show. But first, I'll let you know that we got our monthly gardening book club, our April selection of the monthly gardening book club coming up here for the third Sunday of April is Grow Now by Emily Murphy. Emily will be joining with us again with our good friend Mr. MBC on the third Sunday of April to talk about this really great book. And just look forward to all of our book club selections on the third Sundays of each month. And as well, too, we've got our show, The Green Room. Yep, that's right. We've got The Green Room coming up tomorrow night right here on the Let's Get Growing show, Mondays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And tomorrow we've got joining with us Destin from the Texas Garden Guide, Phil over at Phil's Figs. These guys are co-hosts of the Garden Party podcast, and we've got them with us tomorrow night for a really fun discussion on The Green Room. And next week on the show, and I noticed this as we got the show going, I didn't get the banner for it, but next week on the show we're going to have Robin Jones from Honey Girl Grows. She's going to be joining with us. She's got lots of really cool projects she's been doing over the last year, lots of things coming up. It's going to be great. She's been on the show before. We'll catch up with her and find out what she's got growing on, as well as Michelle's Garden Grows will be joining us for our Are You Following Me segment next Saturday. And then on our Sunday edition next week on the show, we will have with us Dr. Jeff. That's right. It's another appointment with Dr. Jeff, talking all about gardening as medicine. Always a great conversation with Dr. Jeff. It's a great opportunity for all of you to get and join in and ask the doctor all of your questions you might have for him about, again, how you can utilize your garden space as medicine to live a healthier life. So, so definitely come and join with us next Sunday on the Sunday edition, and then next Monday, or come join with us tomorrow on the Green Room tomorrow night, and we'll let you know about who we got coming up next Monday on the Green Room as well too. So again, lots and lots growing on here on the Let's Get Growing show. And if you can, before we head out here today, that's right, let's go ahead and click that thumbs up, hit the like button, as well as subscribe. Hit the bell notification to be notified of all of our upcoming videos and live streams, as well as share with all your friends and let them know about our 3-day gardening weekend here on the Let's Get Growing show. I really, really appreciate you all again for being here with us today. Follow all the links down below to our guests, as well as, again, get on that link that we've got for GrowTrack. Go sign up. I want to see all of you guys go sign up. Check out this new app. Go find out what it's all about, how it works for your gardens. I'm sure you're going to love it. So definitely do that for sure. Everybody, thank you so much for doing that, showing some support for Tony and all of his support of our show. We'll check out this new great app. And everybody, looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow night for the Green Room. We're going to have another fun conversation, like I said, with the guys at the Garden Party. So I'll see all of you then.
Take the run. See you on the flippy flops.